and gentlemen, boys and girls, Buckeye fans of all ages, welcome to a pre-record of the Buckeye Lounge, brought to you by the Ohio Podcast, and also sponsored by mybookie.com. I'm your host, the Shrockstar, Sean Schrock. Along with me, as always, my co-host, the best Wolverine Slayer in the land, Miss TG. And today we have a very special guest, which is an honor because he played on some of my all-time favorite Buckeye teams. Former Buckeye great receiver, Mr. Dee Miller. Thank you for joining us, Dee.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. Since you've retired from playing football, what are you doing now? Let everybody know what you're up to.
So currently I am a State Farm insurance agent. Started in January 2006, so it'll be 20 years for me this January. So
Congrats.
thank you.
Congrats.
Located in Hilliard, Ohio, and man, it's just been a good run, a good transition from athletics, and it's something that I really really enjoy. So it's been fun.
Are you doing any coaching at all? Are you still mentoring younger kids like you were before?
Yeah, I'm always, have my hands in a lot of different things. I am coaching. I help coach my son's his middle school team in PAL, so I'm involved in that. But then, I always kind of like reach out to like or a lot of younger players, former players, reach out to me in regards to trying to make that same transition after football is over with, and that could be really rough
Gotcha.
for a lot of players. It was for me, and I just love being a asset to someone and letting them know that things do get better, and I take a lot of pride in doing that because I know what that transition feels like.
Man, that's incredible.
Yeah, that's
Thank
amazing.
you.
As a matter of fact, do you believe it's the most important for former players to mentor the younger players?
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
I said, do you believe it's important for the former players to mentor the younger players?
Yeah, I think so because as you get older, you kind of reminisce, how I was recruited, and these coaches, they come into your living room and they talk to your parents and your families about the pros that come into Ohio State, and one thing that they always talk about is alumni, the alumni base. So I think it's very very important, especially me at my age. I think it's important to the parents of these athletes as well, because they were so not only a football dream, but an alumni dream and an education dream. And I think a lot of us now, me and my peers, we have went through that stages of football where you get recruited. Some played NFL, some did not, but still trying to find your way to transition and finding success in life after football. And a lot of us found success due to our ties here at Ohio State and what we've done athletically. So I think we're in that kind of that full process. I feel like I am to be able to talk to someone's parent about the stages of a football life.
That's
Can you
awesome.
share? That's actually amazing. Can you share who you mentored and any stories about them?
Man, I talked to Curtis Grant a lot. He was a captain here at Ohio State. He has a smoothie business down on North High Street. I talked to him a lot because being an entrepreneur is tough, and making that transition. Um, Man, I talked to what was the little running back's name? Man, he was. I can't think of his name. It's been a couple years, but a lot of guys have reached out to me like on social media. Court Williams. He was an athlete from L.A.
Mhm.
Towards me a few times. Didn't really get to play athletically, but took advantage and got the degree. Got a couple of degrees, and even bought a house. And so guys like that, where you see them trying to make that transition and be successful and try to get a new identity in your mid 20s is kind of tough. So I just enjoy just being a fountain of information of how things can go, and if how things can't go if you don't apply yourself. I think there's a whole lot of athletes that think just because you went to Ohio State, you got all these employers are just going to open up the door just because you did that. Always tell them Ohio State to get you to the door. But once you get into the door, you got to be able to make the plays. So,
Mhm.
that's the same kind of thing that we lived through at Ohio State.
We've had a few people on. I remember Tim Anderson telling us, man, he goes, when my career ended, he goes, I didn't expect the checks to stop coming like they did. He goes, all of a sudden, man, boom, one day, you know what? Nobody wants you anymore.
Right.
It's time to move on to life. He goes, I became a teacher. He goes, I had my degree. But he goes, man, I thought, I'd still be playing a couple more years and that them checks would be rolling in. He goes, one day they just stop rolling in and you got to be able to do something else.
Yeah, man, and that's hard because you look at guys that play the NFL, their salary is condensed into like 5 months. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? 6 months. So their paychecks are enormous. I think we were doing something like Justin Jeff. I mean, I think it's like for a wide receiver, like $2 million a week. You know what I mean? So it's just it's just insane, and a lot of players don't make that much money, but still, I think it's hard when you try to come back and you work 40 hours, or you got a salary, you got a real hourly wage, and you think back to the checks that you once did, but. I think that's why you have to be educated, and what you do is saving your money and investing. Hopefully, a lot of these guys are learning that even at Ohio State, because now they're making a lot of money now down there. So hopefully they're investing that, because at the end of the day, who cares if you go broke as an NFL player or a collegiate player? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You're still going broke now. So, we try to avoid those things.
No doubt. Tell us how how you became a Buckeye. Was that the school that you always wanted to go to, or was there another school, or was Ohio State was your dream school?
Man, I grew up obviously watching Ohio State, and at that time, you could say you want to, play college football, go to Ohio State, but you're in elementary school, your parents is kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever. And thankfully, with God's grace, I was able to become really, really good. Uh, and once the colleges started to call and we started to get visitors, and we start thinking this is more of a reality. And my three college visits, you get five, but after, the same, it's just kind of like the same thing. So I went to Tennessee, Ohio State, and I went to Michigan. And, Michigan, they wanted me to play defensive back, and I didn't want to play defensive back in college. Um, and Tennessee, Peyton Manning and I, we were in the same class. So
Mm.
that was tempting, and I had my heart set on Ohio State. And then I took a visit down in Tennessee, and had a ball, and I was pro Tennessee, and my father and my parents, they really felt that. My dad was like, "Do you see yourself living in Knoxville after school?" And I was like, "I'm going to the NFL." And he was like, "All right, just slow down, just slow down." And he was just like, I think that outside of football, I think your life would be better after football. If you went to Ohio State, he said, you're from the state of Ohio, you're from up the street, go up there, get good grades, stay out of trouble. And I'm glad that he I'm glad that he spent it like that on me, because a lot of kids, you don't listen to their parents, and I'm thankfully that I listened to him, because that's exactly how things turned out. So that's how I become a Buckeye, and I'm thankful that I made that decision. And it was no matter what school you went to go to the NFL. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So those schools are just there, but understanding the long term benefits of being Ohio State alumni. Yeah, I wasn't thinking like that at 18, obviously, but he was. So I'm glad that I listened to him.
Man, that's awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah. How did
Hmm.
the Buckeyes recruit you?
You said how?
Yeah, how did they recruit you at the
Man,
time?
it was pretty aggressive. It's probably
Gotcha.
ranked number. I was the number two wide receiver in the country coming out, and but they was just aggressive. You know, at that time, contacting it was just on a little flip phone or
Landline.
or the landline.
Yeah. Hmm.
But
Yeah,
we used
compared
to
to now
come.
where you can actually get
Yeah.
on social media, Twitter, all that.
Oh, now you can do all that. It's crazy now, but back then it was a lot of mail and a lot of voicemails.
Hmm.
But Ohio State, they made like a ton of visits to my high school. Um, they came to my father's house a lot. They came to my father's house a lot, and they just made it known that. Uh, they didn't recruit any other. It was just me and Kevin Griffin, but they didn't recruit any other wide receivers in that class. And when going to Tennessee, they were recruiting. It was myself, Marcus Nash, and a guy by the name of Reese Staley. Reese Staley ended up transferring Marcus Nash when they had a good career there. Went on and got drafted by the Broncos, I believe. But Coop was just like, you're our big fish in a small pond, and that's
Hmm.
how we're going through. And he had the gift of gab, a little Southern Tennessee twang, made it sound really really nice, and and here I am.
Do you have anybody like Joey Galloway or Terry Glenn calling you, trying to, say, hey, man, come
Nah,
on up?
Joey, those two individuals, they're not going to be doing anything like that. Back then, it was just, again, I barely had a cell phone. I don't know if they was calling, my parents or anything like that, but it was just at that time. For me, it was just like I was in awe because, first of all, I was, being born and raised in Ohio, and being able to see, Coach Cooper on the sidelines, and now he's in my living room. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Telling me how bad he wants to, for me to come play in Ohio State. So, and then Mike Stock, he was the wide receiver coach that was recruiting me. So, he would come down, and I had like this electricity plant like behind our house, and small little field, and he would come down and help me work on my routes. Me while I was still I had committed at this time, but yeah, it was just a lot of it's just family oriented. They made me feel really, really comfortable, and everybody did, especially Phil Fulmer with Tennessee. Kippy Brown, who was recruiting me, him and my parents got really, really, really cool. Kippy and I ended up hooking up after I left Green Bay, and I was just still trying to prolong my career. He drafted me when I was with the Memphis Maniacs, and so it was good that, like, we, for me, I don't like burning bridges.
Hmm.
So saying no to college was hard, especially you get down to your top five. But everything was really really respectable with Kippy, and he decided to come back for me again. So it was good, and but yeah, man, Ohio State has always, I would say, has always the university I want to go to. I want to play. I want to just play football, and my dad helped me see the bigger picture. And man, I'm so thankful. Met my wife here. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So yeah,
That's cool.
yes, sir.
Hmm. That's amazing.
Mhm.
What was it like paying for John Cooper? And what are some stories like? Do you wish people like got to know about John Cooper that they might not know?
I think obviously, he when you don't win against Michigan like we did, unfortunately, you just get a bad rap,
Hmm.
and that just comes with the territory. But like when when you peel the layers off, I think he brought a different type of style to coaching. He was more like a CEO. He went out and got the top assistants at the time. Um, and he cared for the players. I think when you look at it, you might hear about how he never cared for the players, and at that time it was just different. It was just different. um, and didn't have social media, didn't have, if you didn't watch the news, you really didn't see a lot of kind of like the things that were going on like you do now, or like after we got through playing. But like one thing I would want people to know that he's really, really, that the Michigan losses, that really, really affects a person. You know what I mean? Even after you get through playing. That's something that you got to live with internally. That is hard to do here in the campus. And then, your predecessor comes and it kind of like flips the channel. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And winning all the time and winning the national championship. So, of course, now, we're going through that similar little spill. We haven't won in a few years, but I would just say when you look at the record, have a little bit of empathy, on the man behind there, because he's a really great man, and he's opened a lot of doors for a lot of us. Back then it was like the wild wild west in regards to grades and eligibility, and things have changed now, but I think he did the best that he could do with the resources obviously we were given. But I think a lot of times now you see his record against Michigan and people have a lot of jokes, and that's okay. But like, I think at the end of the day, knowing that like it doesn't rest well with him or any of us. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, Coop is my man, and we was able to take Coop out after COVID. A lot of us, because he was like he had to get out the house. So we took him to a restaurant up in Worthington. It was probably like 13 of us. We caught up, and it was good. So, even we're grown men now, and we got to catch up, and it's life after football. A lot of us have families, good jobs, entrepreneurs. So, I think he was sitting back, kind of like, you know what, I did good. My players did really, really good. So that's what you should know about Coop, man. He's a good person.
Well, you know what? Everybody that we've had on, including you, that played for him, loved the guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And you know what? If he had two teams, I mean, there's probably four teams that he had could have won a national championship
yeah,
if you guys would have had the playoff format that you got now. I
yeah,
mean, 96, 98, you were on those teams. You guys
yeah,
finished second.
yeah.
I mean, two of the most
Absolutely
loaded.
could have won the national
I
championship.
mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, like, and you brought it up that we're all kind of on a skew with scum now, where like the thing that actually ended up saving this football team and our coach was the loyalty playoff, because
yes,
went on the greatest run we've ever seen from a national championship team and won the natty. So at least that's something that changes this is the national championship. It's like you at least got to win that, but at some point you still got to beat Michigan. At some point. Even though I will
yeah,
say I take the natty over Michigan any day of the week.
yeah.
I would.
You
I'm
know,
sorry, people. Don't care how the old school fans feel about it. I'm taking the natty. Natty's a distant number one. Scum, like you're number two. I'm sorry. Still want to beat you, but I'm gonna take the natty before I beat you.
all right, TG, they're gonna be after you now.
Look,
No,
I
they
would
already
love a
are. They
world.
already are.
Listen
They
here.
already are.
Look, they already are. But here's the reality. Here's the reality. I would love both, like we did in 2002 and like we did in 2014.
Yeah.
But if you can't do both, at least do one or the other.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. I think yeah, and a lot of young people don't understand the ebb and the flow of this series. You know what I mean? How, like,
Hmm.
obviously I went through it with Coach Cooper. We lost, and then, like, man, here comes Tressel. You know what I mean? He complete domination and national championship. Then Urban, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? The
Hmm.
same thing, right? So people forget that we was losing to Michigan, and now we're back on the losing side. So
We were
it's the
actually
ebb.
winning against them with Day, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah,
I ain't got to bring up what was. I
yeah,
ain't got to keep bringing it up. What happened that led to the losses? I ain't got to keep bringing
yeah,
it up. But it's like, but but he's like that's what led to it, and now it's like it's so messed up in his head. And I'm like, if because and I'm still count 2020 because y'all fake COVID to get out of that game because you knew you were gonna get your butt kicked. So to me, Ryan Day is like 2-4. Just go beat them this year at
yeah.
least.
For me, yeah, I think they're definitely like one thing, and I help saying it's benefiting from a loss for Michigan.
Yeah.
For me personally, uh, after that loss against Michigan and the way that we called that offensive game against Tennessee,
Oh
Ryan
no, we
Day,
always say
whoever,
that. We always
I
say that.
feel
That is the
like I
greatest thing
feel
to
like
happen.
he got so aggressive and saying, you know what, uh, why am I holding back? You know what I mean? Why am I holding back? I got the best athletes, the best wide receivers, the best running back, and he got really, really aggressive throughout that whole. You said that run, that
Mhm.
historic run,
Yeah.
and hopefully you would think, well, you got a new quarterback, so you have some things there, but you're gonna have to find some ways to still be aggressive, and hopefully he'll remember that stretch and kind of keep that, as we go through this season.
From everything I've heard, it sounds like he will keep that stretch. Now, I will say this: you shouldn't want to unleash everything in your playbook. You still want to keep some things on the back burner that people haven't seen. Because I think, that was one of the reasons why he wasn't so aggressive last year was he didn't want to let everybody see what he had in the playbook, and then when he started flinging it out, people didn't know what was coming. Now,
Yeah,
the scum game, I brought it up. It's because he's so hell bent on beating them in one facet of the way instead of just beating them multiple ways. It's like Ryan, we do not care how you beat them, just beat them, just beat them. We don't care how. We don't care if you beat them just using the run, just using the pass, or doing both. Just out scheme them. It's a mind game. Like, just do that.
yes,
That's all you have to
yeah,
do. So in Michigan, it was more so it was a mind game problem and a mental block problem. Whereas like throughout the season, I didn't have a problem with it. It's like you didn't want to unleash everything in your playbook. That's fine, as long as you just win your games and you do it effectively. I don't care how you win, just win. As long as you're doing that, I didn't care. And then come the playoffs, everybody's so confused. It's like, where did these plays come out of all of a sudden?
exactly, exactly,
So
exactly.
I think he'll be a little more aggressive. From everything I've heard, he'll be a little bit more aggressive this year. But
Mhm.
he's still not gonna go outward to expose his entire playbook because that wouldn't be smart.
No, I think you always had to have a bag of tricks at the end of the season. But it was good. I think for everybody because, like we always stress like health and like I could literally like Day to me was looking so stressed during that
Mhm.
whole entire run. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Lost weight and that. I mean, I was like, man, this job is giving you 8 million, but you got to work for it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You got to work
not
for it.
easy.
It's
It
more like
No.
it's
comes
more like
it
this. It's more
comes
like
with a
this.
lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It comes
You
with a lot
get
of
older
pressure.
when you work at Ohio State. You get
Yeah,
older. Like, bro, Tressel looks so much.
yeah,
Him and Urban look so much older than they did when
yeah,
they first came to Ohio State. Like at first,
yeah.
you saw none, but like with Urban, you had brown hair, and I think it's the same with Tressel. And then they ended up like 8 years in, like growing gray hair, and I'm like, you're already seeing it with Day. It's like he's aging. He looks
For
older,
sure.
It's like
It's
being
like
the
hey,
and
it's
he's
like
president.
only
being the
44.
president. It's
He's
Yeah,
like
only
being the
being the
46, and
president.
he looks like he's older. That's what's so funny. It's like, dude, you're only 45 and you look like you're like in your 50s already. Like you look like really you're in your 60s
president.
already. It's like,
Hey, that job is stressing. Your bank
Yeah.
account
Oh
is
yeah.
good, but like, woo, it's going to age you. But
hey,
I
well at
think,
least
yeah.
it keeps the Ohio State football team from ending up like most of these other bum programs, right? Because they don't expect nothing less.
That's hilarious.
See, I want to ask you, what was it like being part of being on the team and watching Eddie George win a Heisman?
That was it was amazing. A couple of things. Again, just for me, just being able to be there was like because I wasn't playing that much, but your first couple of years, you're still kind of like dreaming that you're playing for you can't believe you're playing for Ohio State football and when I got there, it's just certain guys that just set the bar who's just they're just built different. They think different. They go about their day differently. It's just a different type of focus. And um, I'll never forget when Eddie, had a big fumble against Illinois at the one or something like that. And I might have been a senior in high school at the time. I think I was
Mhm.
like visiting on a visit that game, and the next year when I was there. Um, I didn't really see him like face to face, like in when I was getting recruited. But like when I got there, I couldn't. I was like, man, this dude is huge. But like his workout regimen was insane, and that's when you start seeing like really uh, how you prepare is how you will play,
Mhm.
and. Um, and if you look at Eddie for his size, you know what I mean? He was really fast, but he wasn't a blazer. But like in the fourth quarter, he's that same speed where a lot of guys fall off. And he would just condition crazy. Him and Coach K were just they were just evenly yoked, and they were just so to see him have that fumble and to see people be on his back to hitting rock bottom, having to come up, fight, figure things out, being from Philadelphia, the inner city school of Philadelphia, and then, holding the Heisman. That's a fairy tale. That's a fairy tale of its own. And it was just, man, just happy to watch. And it's just crazy when you see like some of your friends, their life just instantly changed.
Mhm.
And so, that was good to see people's cars get better, and then I asked you to go on the pizza with you no more. They
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. Exactly. The funny thing about that is when he was a freshman, he scored them 3 touchdowns against Syracuse.
Yeah,
Everybody thought he was going to be the next big thing.
yeah,
Then he had that fumble, like you said. He almost transferred.
yeah,
He thought about transferring,
Woo!
yeah,
and he went back to work. And they said he put it. Coach Cooper talked about it because I watched a documentary on it, and they said how hard he worked, and he wasn't. He's like, I almost gave up, but he goes, then I decided I wasn't going to leave. I was going to stick it out, and
yeah. I mean, it's so many players. Like, I mean, competing, like the amount of pressure that comes with trying to actually play, actually trying to get on the field. You
mm-hmm.
know, you know, don't get me wrong, there's some people that are just happy to be there. You know what I
Yep,
mean? They're just happy to
Yeah.
be there. But to actually try to compete and put your body through rigorous workouts, the mental stress, you know what I mean? Like and once you're there, keeping it, holding it. You know what I mean? It is just when I got there, it was just humbling because like everybody is good, everybody is great. When I got there, uh, it was Joey Galloway, it was Chris Sanders, it was Terry Glenn, it was Buster Tillman, it was Demetrius Stanley, it was Dwayne Carter. You know what I mean? So when I got there, it was already horses in
yeah,
there. Then it transitioned to me in Boston, then Reggie Germany, then Kenyon, then it just goes on and on and on to when I played here, when I was getting recruited here, Ohio State threw 7 passes to BYU in the Holiday Bowl. 7 passes. Phil Fulmer from Tennessee called me. He said, "Hey, let me get to this." He said, "Do you play wide receiver or running back?"
hey, smart on his part. I would have been saying the same thing. We had this guy named Peyton Manning, and he likes to throw the
Yeah,
ball.
exactly,
So come
exactly,
on down.
exactly,
Yeah, I don't blame him.
exactly. So now, like 25, 28, almost 30 years later, now we're considered wide receiver U.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So,
It's funny because it
um,
goes all the way
yeah,
back to the history of Ohio State's
yeah,
receivers,
yep,
and not only just what they do in college, but what they've done in the NFL too.
yeah, yeah, man. So we've had a lot of, and I really, I think it's like, you had Chris Carter, you had Jeff Graham, you had Bobby Olive, and then you had like you had Joey, you had Tippy, and then you had Terry, and then I feel like myself in Boston
Yeah.
is like when you start having like these duos of guys coming in where it was just like almost two guys getting over 1,000 yards. You know what I mean? And talking to guys like Mike Jenkins, and they'd be like, "Oh man, we should see number 15 and number 9." Like, "Oh man, like man, y'all used to ball out." You know what I mean? And then it just kind of it
Yeah.
just kind of just kept going and going, and you know. People saw Santonio, they saw
Exactly.
Ted Ginn, you know what I mean? And then
Yeah,
it's just like
senior and junior.
exactly. So
Yeah.
now it's like it's almost if you're like a wide receiver or a DB,
You
and
belong to
like
Ohio State.
when you come to the facility, like soon as you walk into the facility and just go through all of that, and it's just hard to say no. It's
I
just
Hey,
mean,
hard to say
it's
no.
I mean, when you think about it too, it's like because for what makes the wide receivers better, the DBs at Ohio State and the DBs say the same thing about the wide receivers. It's like you're going against NFL talent up up and down. Like you're gonna get better no matter what. Like one of the greatest examples is like Denzel Burke, because some people do underestimate him, but it's like people have to think about it. This guy, for the past 5 years, has been going up against Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jason Smith Najimba, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jeremiah Smith, and now as well as Emeka Ibuka, like and Carnell Tate and Brandy Ennis. Like those guys, like he went through like 7 of the best receivers Ohio State has. And
Yep.
I think Brandon Ennis is another one, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep. Yep.
Sean.
yep.
So like that's 9. 9.
Yeah.
Like think about it. You done do 9 and 2 of the best receivers Ohio State's had. Like right now, Jeremiah Smith's like if he continues the run he's going on, you basically went up against 2 of the top 5 best receivers Ohio State's had as far as Marvin and Jeremiah. Like think about that. You went from going up against Marvin to Jeremiah.
Yeah, he's
Easy.
it's definitely that was always kind of like the plus for us as a wide receiver, and I think it is for defensive backs too. It's
Yeah.
like every day is just NFL competition. You know what I mean? It's like again when I got there it was Marlon Kerner and Sean Springs, and with Sean Springs to like Ty
Wow.
Howard, and then
Yeah.
Ahmed Plummer to Antoine Winfield, Nate Clements. You know what I mean? It was just like
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it's like
like
with the
every
defensive backs and the
day.
wide receivers, it's like every day. It's like you're going up against the best DBs and then you're going up against the
Exactly.
best receivers every day. And it's like because the Ohio State receivers from the Ohio State defensive backs from last year said, what's funny is we're going up against all these other receivers, and it's so much easier compared to like when we're going up against the receivers at Ohio State in practice every day. And it's vice versa with the wide receivers. It's like, it's kind of easier for us going up against all these other defensive backs because we go up against the best DB unit every day. So it's like when you hear that it really shows you why they're defensive back and wide receiver you. But then people also do underestimate the fact that Ohio State is running back you because whether people know it or not, while we haven't, like, we still have like running backs that go in like within the first
For
3
sure.
rounds
For
every
sure.
year. And it's like,
Sure.
I mean, we just had Travion and Quishaw both get drafted in the second
Second.
round. Either
Yeah.
Yep.
one of them could have went first. I mean, we had JK in the first couple years ago. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you look at
Ezekiel.
that, yeah, Ezekiel,
Yeah.
bro, he went first round, top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Like he was a freak. Like there's no
Yeah.
ifs about that. Like Ezekiel was different. And then like offensive line, people do also forget that Ohio State's offensive line you. And then when you go back and you look at the history, it's kind of like Ohio State's had a train of offensive linemen in the NFL. Like right now, a lot of their offensive linemen are among the highest paid, and there's a good
Yep.
chance Dewan and Terrace end up in that conversation with how
Yep.
good they've been since they've came in. The only thing
Yep.
with Dewan is just stay healthy. And then I think we actually might start having a turnaround at tight end talent because we talked about it, Sean, with our team this year. That
Max
like
Player.
the tight end, yeah, not just Max Clare, but Jelani's been coming on too. Nate Roberts has been excellent from everything I hear. Max LeBlanc's been really good. Brody Lennon has promise as well. And
Better
it's like
Christian. I
yeah,
mean,
Ben Christian, bro, he's amazing. Like his
Mhm.
pass catching has been improving a lot. And Will Kazmarek, I already talked about it. Like Will Kazmarek has been the best blocker, and he's a solid pass catching tight end. He's real good. So like when you look at the talent in the tight end room, it's not like as if Ohio State never had productive tight end talent. Like I think we've been in the tight end U conversation for a while. We just never had superstar tight ends like Penn State and Iowa, because Iowa always had superstar tight ends. We just never
Mhm.
had superstars. Well, think about it. We finally got one in Max Clare, and we may have one in Jelani and a future in Nate. So like when you look at the tight end talent, people may start talking about us as tight end you because we've had so many productive tight ends in the NFL and college, and now we're starting to have some superstars potentially emerging. We could enter ourselves in that conversation as tight end you, where people really start paying attention to that position a lot more, especially because now, and imagine that for Ohio State, you're not just talking about when you're talking about the pass catchers, you're not just talking about the wide receivers anymore. Now you're talking about the tight ends. See, now that's gonna be real dangerous for defenses.
Well, I think like
Imagine.
when you have a new quarterback, yeah, a quarterback with um, that much experience. There's a couple of things that's going to be able to help him out, and that's going to be a good rushing attack
Mhm.
and being able to dump it off to a tight end of some sort in the passing game. So having skilled athletic tight ends. Will always benefit someone like we're having in this situation. So you know, I just think when you look at overall, and I think it's obviously the atmosphere that's created by Ryan Day and the rest of these coaching staffs that people they want to be here. They
Yep.
want to be here.
Yeah.
And with that being said, because a lot of them have the opportunity to go elsewhere and make more money. You know what I mean? Because that's a different part of the game now. But the kids, they want to be here. They know that no matter what position, you know what I mean,
You'll get
that
the help.
they're playing at the best school in America that comes with competing against the best day in and day out. You know what I mean? I think
Mhm.
that's what that's what national titles bring. You know what I mean? It has people to
Mhm.
say, you know what, I crossed them out, but then they take a visit and they're like, oh my way, this is different. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I just when you look at it, we're always going to be in the top as far as recruiting, and I just think, like you said, we're just always going to have different positions evolving. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like you said, it's not like we never didn't like tight ends. You know what I mean? But
I mean,
like
we
you
just didn't
never
throw
had
him the
stars.
ball a lot. We just
Yeah,
didn't. And I
yeah.
didn't even bring it up. Like we are also like linebacker. You because Sean, even though we haven't had linebackers as talented as Laurinaitis and AJ Hawk in a while, a lot of our linebackers are still went on to the NFL to be highly successful.
Mhm.
Surprisingly, right
Good
to a
point.
lot of people. And obviously, we're still defensive line. I mean, look at what Larry's done for us since he's been here, and even beforehand. Like, look at how all our D linemen got, and then when we got Larry, all of a sudden our D line just shot up a rocket. So
Mhm.
when you look at what Ohio State's done as far as not just recruiting but also development as well as setting a culture, because that's their biggest thing is you set a culture is how you're going to win championships. Development is the biggest key to that. Like you could buy as many players as you want, but development's going to count at the utmost, and it's what's going to help these players get to the next level as well, because that's what a lot of them want. So that's why I always stay confident in Ohio State, because I'm like, listen, as long as we're hiring the right coaches, and we always do, apparently, right now. I hope we continue doing that, hiring the right people to do their jobs, which is to develop these kids. Development should always be the number one for Ohio State. You can buy as many players as you want. Development's going to come. Culture comes first as development as well. That's what it all comes down to.
I would not disagree with you more.
That's just
There,
what some people don't know.
there is something I wanted to ask you, D. Being a
Yep.
receiver, was it difficult when you guys were switching quarterbacks every quarter? When you had Joe and you had Stanley, and they were going. Every quarter was different. I mean, would that throw you off sometimes? I mean, what was
Well,
that
I
like?
think like what I think kind of what really threw us off, and when you looked at Stan and Joe Germain, for example, it wasn't that we were thrown off because of their different balls or whatever. They was both right-handed. I think it was just the flow of the game calling. Um, we tended to throw more when Joe was in the game. Um, we tended to run more or a lot of options or option passes with Stan.
Yep.
And I think even when you look at when we played Florida State in the what bowl is that down there in New Orleans?
Sugar Bowl.
Sugar Bowl. It was just when especially coming back when you're down. When Joe was in, they went dime and nickel. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Stan was in, they meant when more 4-3 regular base protection. So if anything, the tempo of the play calling was a little bit different with each quarterback.
Now, there's one game I want to ask you about, and I graduated in '97, so I'm a little bit younger than you, but I lived through all the Cooper years. But it was my senior year, New Year's Day, watching you guys play against the Sun Devils in that Rose Bowl. That was one of the best games ever for Ohio State. I mean, just what a comeback. I mean, what a great game. What was that like being there?
It was just an experience to be at the Rose Bowl. Again, being from Ohio, you hear about it your whole life, and just to be out there. Just the overall experience to have my parents out there, like they never really went to a lot of places. So for them to be able to come out there, and then I had cousins and relatives out there was nice. But as far as the game, um, just being able to play in that game, and then being able just to see how it evolved, and Jake the Snake, and Joe Germain and Stan and David Boston and Demetrius Stanley. It was just action impacted the entire game, and Dave's catch was really really thorough, big time, and won the game for us, and that was huge, man. So to be there and witness that firsthand was awesome.
Well, everybody talks about his game-winning catch, but I went back and I rewatched that game this week because now are we interviewing you, but we're interviewing Pepe tomorrow, Pepe Pearson,
Okay.
and I wanted to watch the game again. And that first touchdown that David caught was an even better catch in the game winner.
Yep.
I mean, amazing getting the 1 foot in. And he stayed in bounds and he kept control of it. I
Yep.
mean,
Yep.
I forgot all about that till I rewatched it. I'm just like, man, everybody's remembers the game winner, but that first one was wow.
Yeah,
Oh, by the
Dave.
way,
Dave was a special athlete. He was a special athlete.
yeah, that's. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Like I wasn't alive to see that, but it's like I'm glad I went back to watch it. I'm glad I did actually.
See, that's why we got to get. You know what? I'm a lot older than she is. This
No,
this
you not that. Okay, I wouldn't say all that,
But
but yeah,
man,
you're kind of hard. I mean,
well,
yeah, no,
this,
because when y'all played, I wasn't alive at the time, so it's like I had to. So for me,
dang
I had to go
TG.
back.
All right,
No, I'm not trying to make
TG.
y'all feel. Oh, I had to go back to watch it because I'm such a sports geek. Because my lifetime, Ohio State has always won. There's only two times they didn't. It was like 2003 and 2011. Which 2011, I was like, they should have won that game, but yeah, I don't know what happened there. Um, but yeah, no, I actually glad I go back and watch some of the most special moments in Ohio State's history, and I'm glad I went back and watched that because I'm like, ooh, there's so many great plays. I'm glad I'm such an Ohio State fan. And Sean, I thought we were even Pepe on Wednesday.
Yeah.
yeah, Wednesday. My bad.
Okay. All
Hmm.
right. Yeah.
On Wednesday.
Yeah,
Pep and
because
I,
I
we were in the same class. We were in the same class. We came
Yeah.
in '94 together. So yeah, y'all got to make sure y'all tell Pep I said hello. We had this.
Mhm.
We had this in this kind of this. It was like a sports interview. It was myself, Stan Jackson, Ryan Miller, and Cardell Jones, and the Stan was kind of like the MC. Stan was the founder of this Buckeye State Bank, and they had like an event over at Wedgwood Country Club, and
Okay.
and Ryan was talking about how like when he first came to Ohio State, Penn State wasn't a part of the Big Ten just yet, and Cardell's face said, Ryan, like when you played here, Penn State wasn't.
Well, that wasn't shocking to me. I figured.
Well, what's funny, D, is the guy who owns the Ohio podcast, the channel that we're on,
Uh-huh.
the platform is actually Ryan Miller's cousin, Eric.
Really?
Yeah, yep,
Yeah,
Eric
yeah.
Foggs. Yeah, yep. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's super funny.
Yeah, yeah. So man, hey, I'm getting old. I'm getting
but,
older.
but I
It's a
said the
blessing.
great thing about us having the show is getting to interview people like you, so
Hmm.
the younger fans get to go back, get to learn the history, and you guys get to tell your stories, and it takes me back to some of my favorite teams and getting a chance to talk to you guys and relived that in my high school years watching you guys. And
Yeah.
And for me, it's a great chance for me to learn more about you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
is because I'm part of this generation that never
As
got a
you
chance.
know, you wasn't as I know, you wasn't born. You made
Yeah,
that clear.
yeah. No, I know. I said like this is great, especially for
Yeah.
kids like me, or I shouldn't say kids because I'm not even a kid no more. But it's like people in my generation who never got to watch it. Even my little cousin who doesn't even know much about it. It's great for him. He always says it's awesome talking to like the Buckeye players of the past and listen
Hmm.
to all these players' stories because it's like it's something he never knew. So it's like it's awesome for him.
we had Keith Byers on, and we had Cornelius Green on, so it was awesome
Hmm.
to get to talk to
Awesome.
those guys. And we had Robert Smith on too. So
Really.
yep.
Yeah.
So
Big
what?
Juice, man. That's awesome, man. Keith Byers, I used to go to his camps. Coming up, it was the Byers and Bayless camp at Welcome Stadium in Dayton. So
Oh, cool,
I always went to his camps every year. Yes, sir.
man. He's just watching him play, and that game
Yeah.
against Illinois when he ran out of his shoe and he carried that team to that victory was just awesome. Then to see Eddie break his record against Illinois,
Yep.
that was awesome too. So
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Uh,
Yep.
oh,
Sir.
in your career, you have two Big Ten titles, a Rose Bowl victory, a Sugar Bowl victory. You finished eighth in both career and receiving yards. Which of these achievements are you the most proud of?
Woo. Man, to be honest, you didn't mention any on it. I think I would be more with the degree, graduating and finally getting my degree. I think,
Ooh.
like, especially like for me, when I left Ohio State, I didn't have my degree. Like after I came back from the NFL, so I had to come back and get it, which I told my mom that I would. And at the time being cool, top 10 at Ohio State years ago, but now these young boys done, they running me up out of there. They running me.
that's not fair because they're throwing the ball a lot more than
I
what you guys.
know, I know. But
Imagine imagine what Chris Carter. Imagine the stats Chris Carter would have had if they threw the ball like they did now back then, and they barely. I mean,
exactly,
you didn't get the ball that much. Look at Chris Carter. They
And yet,
barely.
a lot of y'all were
exactly.
still getting like 1,000 yards, despite the fact that they wouldn't
For
even throw the ball that
sure,
much.
for
So imagine,
sure.
so imagine, so like imagine how many more yards I would have if
Oh
they
man,
did.
it'd been
So it's like,
crazy,
Yeah.
been
and, and,
crazy.
and here's what's even like funnier about it is like when you think about it, for the Ohio State receivers, some of them would have a lot more yards if they were not playing together.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure, most
like just think
definitely,
about it. A lot of these guys, like Jeremiah Smith alone, can have like 2,000 yards in the season
for
if you just
sure.
threw the ball straight up to him.
You
Same
did.
with Marvin, same with Emeka, same with a lot of these guys. It's like you got
Hmm.
so many number ones on one team, and it's like they have no problem with that whatsoever. It's like, hey, more
You know
ground for all of us.
that says a lot about you too, D, because you came in with David. I mean,
Yep.
both of you guys could have been legitimate number ones anywhere
Yep.
else, and you guys
Yep.
came
Hmm.
together and you guys played together, and you
Hmm.
guys weren't selfish. You guys were great. Great
Yeah.
together, man. You guys pushed each other.
Yeah. It was good. I think we kind of was able to the most part like keep defenses honest. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? I think like at that time David had been successful his freshman year. So everyone kind of knew about him. I was kind of like the veteran, the unproven veteran. So, I had to, come in and prove that I was able to, because if I'm not doing my job, all they could do is just double team him.
Yeah,
And so,
Hmm.
so I had to be able to, show that I deserved to be there and have fun doing it. I think when you look as far as like duos, Dave and I really, really, really start opening that space up. We had a wonderful offensive coordinator. We had, it was just awesome, man. After Walt Harris left with Terry Glenn, then we got Mike Jacobs. He kind of was really aggressive offensively as well. So, man, it was just some memorable moments.
I got a
You want to?
question. Sorry,
Yep.
Oh, no, I was about to say, do you want to know a little fun, interesting stat about Ohio State, like a little fact?
What's that?
That they're the only program in college football history to have three receivers have 1,000 yards in the same season.
Yeah, yeah. That happened to what? A couple years ago or last
Yep.
year?
That was a
Yeah,
couple years ago. Last year they
yeah,
came
yeah,
real close.
yeah,
They
yeah,
came
yeah. A
real
couple years,
close.
2
Like
years ago.
Parnell,
Yeah.
Yeah, because Carnell this year he was real close. He was at 700, and if he cut a couple more yards, he would have had 1,000. Along with the fact that they had, I think those couple years ago, I think they had J.K. who ran for 2,000. They had a 1,000-yard rusher the same year with Justin Fields who threw like, I think, what was it, like 3,000 some? It was 3,000 some 3,000 some 100-yard passing yards. It was like, I want to say 3,200, Sean, or was it 33?
I'm not sure because I know him and Haskins both put up gigantic numbers.
Yeah,
back
I
to
just
back,
know
so.
I just know it was somewhere like the three, like just it was up there. It was up there, and it was like that was a historical Ohio State like kind of offense. While for granted, people don't look at it the same way they did that LSU offense. Still, it was still one of the great. It was the best offense I think Ohio State had, and the best off performance they put up the like ever in a season. For you to have 3,000-yard receivers, two over like 1,000-yard rushers, or one ran for 2,000, one ran for 1,000, with your quarterback running for 500 and plus some yards, on top of the fact he threw for over like 300 like some plus, not 300, 3,000 plus yards, on top of the fact that you had on top of the fact like you had all that going on for you. It's like that was the most historical type of offense, where the only thing is your tight ends, they actually have some pretty good stats too. And it was like that is the best, most historical offense Ohio State's had in a long time. And 2024 last year, 4,000-yard passing quarterback of Will Howard. I think like this is legit the first time I've seen a quarterback at Ohio State throw for like 4,000 passing yards in a season. First time I've seen it. And you have your 2,000-yard receivers, your 2,000-yard rushers, and you came one close to matching what you did a couple years ago. If you threw Carnell Tate the ball a little more, you would have had 3,000-yard receivers in the same year with just national championship. This close. That close.
That close, man.
No,
You know,
no, I got.
I know I got 980, 989 or something like that, or 980, 981. I was yeah, I was.
There
I was
was
less than 20 yards away.
Hey, dude, your audio's kind of.
audio. You got a problem with your audio?
You having a little static. Just a little bit.
Try it now. No,
I heard that.
still.
Hey,
Did you hit something?
I was hearing the air finish when y'all was talking.
Can you try talking again once?
Yes.
No, we're getting a bunch of static when you're talking for some reason.
hey, could you kind of come out and then come in?
I'll tell you what, if you can jump out quick, then log back in, see if that works. Sometimes
Yeah,
that.
because sometimes that happens. Because Sean, remember this happened with Byers, where his audio kept going out. His audio
log out
kept
and
going
log
out.
back in.
I don't know what it was.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, that was kind of weird though. But I figured I'd bring that up to him because it's like, hey, why not? Especially because it's like it is a stat that Ohio State should be proud of. The fact that you're the only program to accomplish that.
That's awesome. Then
First and only. First and only.
And they're the only team not to lose 8 games in a year too.
Oh yeah, that's actually one of the greater stats. And
Yeah.
it's like you've been in the AP poll 1,000 times, which is why I never consider Michigan's whole thing.
There he is. Hopefully he can pop back in. We get him back in here.
Oh no, we're gonna get him back in. I just know there's the echo. And
there we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
There was something I wanted to ask you. Who was the tougher guy to go against?
I can't hear y'all.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
God.
I can hear you. We're getting feedback though. Like an
Echo.
Do you have your speakers on in your computer?
Let me see.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear. Can you hear
Is
us?
that better?
Yeah, that's
I
better.
can hear y'all. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that was, but when y'all was talking, I heard a lot of static and interference too when y'all was talking. So
That's so weird. That is so weird. It's always it's not the OHL podcast without some type of technical difficulties on Emux. EV Mux. It's just not.
We're changing to streaming soon, so
Yeah, so
I
we won't have to deal with that.
wanted to ask you who was tougher to go against, Antoine Winfield or Sean Springs?
Whew, man, you gonna get me in trouble.
Or I could throw Ty
Uh,
Howard in there too. I mean, plus if you got past those guys, you had Rob Kelly and Damon Moore to mess with too, man. What?
Man, that's just insane. You know what was like first about like when I got there, uh, Sean was just, he was tall, like the ideal cornerback, like tall, fast, and everyone knew he was going to the NFL as when I got there, he's a redshirt freshman and very good at special teams as well. But like when he would jam the hell out of me sometimes. So he wouldn't even let me get on the line of scrimmage. Now Antoine, he wasn't a big jammer, but he would be like as far as like hip turn, he knew how to get in and out of his breaks like really, really well. Uh, uh, but when you look at the physicality of Sean Springs and how he just beat you up at the line of scrimmage, and I think he told who was that? He told who was it, Keith Booth out of Arizona? The year we played the Rose Bowl.
Uh-huh.
He told Keith Poole, he said, I'm gonna give you gonna catch one pass. I'm gonna let you catch one pass. And he caught one pass.
It's awesome.
He caught one pass. But I will tell you this now, coming up hitting. Antoine all day. Antoine, he came up and he would, because a lot of times people would see him and think he's so small, but I'm telling you, when I saw him, he tackled Mike Allstock when he was at Purdue. You know what I mean, and gave him a thump. You just knew he was going to be a good one as well. But yeah, those two guys, man. When you look at Ohio State's quarterbacks, those two really, really, I think, set them two apart in regards to different styles of play.
I mean, if you look though, that year Antoine was the nickelback. I mean, you had Ty Howard and you had Sean, then you had Rob and Damon over the top. I mean, whew,
Yes,
you're gonna get your
yes,
head taken
safeties.
off. If you catch that ball, you're gonna get your head taken off.
Oh yeah, Rob, man, Rob, Rob, man, he was Rob was crazy, man. He used to wear army fatigue and Timbos. He was, always listening to Wu Tang.
Yeah, thanks for telling me that because he's gonna come on our show. I just got a hold of him. I've been talking to him a little bit. I gotta ask him about that. I gotta ask him about the army fatigues and listen to Wu Tang. I gotta hit him with that.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I don't even.
Damon told me.
I just.
I, I know Damon a little bit, and he told me Rob was such a freaky athlete. Like
He
his
was.
numbers were crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Rob, man, he was fast, strong, uh, good athlete, solid athlete. Yes, sir.
I mean, you talk about taking people's heads off. It's a good thing that targeting wasn't the thing back then.
Hey, it sure was not. You get your
You wish it
damn
was.
head knocked off, and it would be okay. You
Yeah,
know
you
what
wish
I
it was,
mean?
didn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know something too. Like I actually have found this out because it's like, and even everybody agrees with this. Do you know where Ohio State ranks all time as a program? Not only this century, but also all time.
For what?
Like as a program overall in college football.
Wins?
No, just overall. Like, do you know where they rank as a
Oh,
program all time in this century alone?
I would say we have to be top three.
I'd
Number
say
one.
two. Oh, we're number
Yeah,
one.
okay.
Number one, both lists,
Hmm.
both. There were two lists that came out about the all-time programs listed all time, and then the ones listed for this century. This century, Ohio State's number one over Bama, which people would try to figure out how is Ohio State, and it was like because Ohio State hasn't had a down period. They had one bad year, which was the tattoo thing, which I am not going over
Right.
that again. And it's like, but Alabama in like the early 2000s absolutely sucked. They were trash before Saban. So it's like, that's why. Like, yes, Saban's title, like his run is what helped Bama get to two. That's what they put in there. He's like, no, like if you guys were actually good from like 2000, from the 2000,
Hmm.
2001 to like where you are now, yeah, you probably
Hmm.
would have been number one this century. But because you
Hmm.
sucked in the early years, that's why.
Well,
Versus
people.
like Ohio State that's been like dominate this whole century. And then overall as a program, Ohio State ranks number one because they actually dominate a lot of programs in like every category. like almost every category. They dominate in a lot of categories when you compare. And Sean, because I pulled it up on the website that I've used where you can compare programs. I compare you compare the main 8 blue bloods against one another. Ohio State actually dominates a lot of these blue bloods in multiple categories. The ones that they don't, it's only just like 4 good categories, four, like at the utmost 3 to 4 categories or 5 that other programs get Ohio State in, but they dominate most of them. It's like
Mhm.
it's actually pretty funny. Like for instance, Ohio State by far and away, the team rank has the most like AP poll appearances all time in history. 1,000. They're at 1,000. Do you know who the second closest is?
Nebraska.
Scum at
No.
like 928.
Oh,
928. This the second is what I brought up with Keith when we did that interview before with Keith and them, but also
Mhm.
with who was the ones we did it with before Sean?
Maurice and Donnie?
Yeah,
Maurice Hall and
yeah.
Donnie Mickey.
Because it's like because when you talk about like program dominance, because when people have said Ohio State's been the most premier program in all college football, you bring that part up where it's like they've been dominant for so long, they've been in the AP poll for so long, they've been competing for national titles. They've actually won the most national championships from the 1950s to now,
Mhm.
where it's like 8 total. So it's like
Mhm.
that's what you find more interesting is like how this program has continued it, and it's like it's only going to go up in the right direction as long as you keep making the right decisions. And the good thing is about Ohio State, you got a fan base that will not tolerate mediocrity, unlike Scum and all these other ones.
Well, people forget, D, when you were playing, Alabama wasn't that good.
Oh, they weren't. No,
When D was playing, they weren't.
they really weren't. Like you could look at
Well,
years where
see,
Bama was
they
not
let me
very
see.
good.
My true freshman year, I redshirted. They beat us in the Citrus Bowl. They had Sherman Williams, man. And maybe after that they might have tanked. But
Yeah,
that year they put them paws on us down there at the Citrus Bowl.
No,
So
understandable.
yeah,
I look back
yeah.
at
So,
that team, and that team was actually really good back then. It's like after that though,
they won.
they
hmm
They
just
won
they
one
just fell
natty with
off.
one natty in the late '80s, early '90s with Gene Stallings. But
Hmm.
yeah,
that there for a while, I mean, after Bear
Yeah, for
yeah,
a
Bryant,
while, like, and that's why. Even though I will say Bama did outrank Michigan all time as far as like overall program, which I found so funny. But it's like, yeah,
right.
no, because it's like when you and not only that, but it's like when you talk about like this whole thing between like when you compare all the blue bloods, it's like when you look at the best. If you're talking about even just from the 1950s to now, it's like when you rank them, it's actually pretty hilarious when you find out just how low Scum is.
I mean,
It's just crazy that sometimes Ohio people hate Ohio. Either they hate Ohio State or they love Ohio
yeah,
State. It's like so. That's why I said like top three because a lot of times people man hate Ohio State so much they don't like giving
Yeah,
us number
they
one
just
in
hate with
anything.
passion in a way. Because
exactly.
dude, when that list came out, everybody was trying to figure out how High State's number one. And the person who made those, like the list that the people who actually have some credibility who made that list actually said, "Are y'all serious? Like they've been the most dominant program in the past 100 years. Y'all programs have had so
Ups
much
and
like just
downs.
dead periods. Like
Right.
for Michigan." Where their program ranked all time, it was like y'all had a dead period for like 80 years until these like past 3 years, which come into question as it is with
I'm
an asterisk, big fat asterisk. But it's like no, like how long have you been good? It's always been that consistency, and that's why for a lot of these fans, you hate Ohio State because of that. It's like they've been so good for. Look, the best way to know you're that good is how much hate you're getting. If you ain't getting a lot of hate, you ain't that good. At least that
Amen.
tells Ohio State you know who at the top of the mountain, right?
yeah.
It's like it did with Bama for Saban. It's like for Saban, it's like he made Alabama hate it 'cause people hated Saban, but that tells you how great of a coach he was. Because
hmm
who wouldn't want Saban as the coach? And think about it, he's a former Buckeye. He coached here, and he said it
Yeah.
himself in an interview. He said, "Dude, I'm a Buckeye. I got Buckeye in me. I love my Crimson. Look, I'm glad I coached the Crimson Tigers, but the Crimson Tide, but I'm a Buckeye. I was
Mm.
happy." And he's from the state of Ohio.
Yeah, he went to Kent State. So,
Did
but
not know that. I know
no.
that he was the damn head coach of Michigan State when they beat us. That's
Oh
all I
Yeah,
man.
know.
yeah,
Oh,
that's what
see
sucked. Yeah, no,
what
that's
happened,
what
man?
sucked.
What happened that night, bro?
Hayes and
Come
Earl
on,
Bruce,
man.
bro. Before
I mean,
he was the
finally,
coach.
you
Yeah, he was
finally
on the
beat
coaching staff
Michigan.
during the Earl Bruce and Woody Hayes. Like Earl Bruce and Woody Hayes is when he was the coach, and the fact that he was coaching at Michigan State and beat Ohio State, it was kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. I
Man,
was like, think about it. One of your former coaches beat you, but at least for Ohio State, it does say, hey, look at the pipeline of the greatest coaches in football history.
the one,
Ohio
the
State
one,
has a lot to do with that.
the 1 year you
And
guys
let's
get
be real,
past
it's better for you to
Michigan.
lose to a former coach that you work with as long as
Oh,
you go to scum. And,
Yeah,
and look,
that was rough.
listen,
that hurt.
listen. I don't mind that we lost to Michigan State as long as it wasn't scum. Hey,
Um,
he won the coach of scum, so I can put up with that.
yeah, well,
Nah, that was the first year of the BCS. So I mean, at that time, like losing late,
killed you.
yeah,
No,
it
it
was,
hurt. It
Yeah,
sucked,
it
but I
killed
rather
you.
listen. I rather lose to Michigan State to lose to Michigan any day of the week. So
But
I rather.
I mean, you guys actually. Who ended up winning the Natty that year? Was it Florida State winning it?
Tennessee.
Tennessee. Okay, it was
Yeah,
'96 when we lost to Michigan. That I think whoever won it had a worse loss than you guys did, but they lost earlier in the
yeah,
year and you
early.
won later. And
Yeah,
that sucked because you guys had a better. I mean,
Yeah,
but I mean,
yeah,
how?
that was those last. Those it's just like 2015 where we lose to Michigan State kind of late in the season, and that's what screws us over in 2015. So it's like, and that team, I don't wasn't even that good. Even though they made the Final Four, they really weren't that good.
hmm
Plexico Burris. Plexico
Yeah,
Burris killed you guys
Woo.
in the game.
Yes, he did.
Him and
Yes, he
him
did.
and Julian Peterson on defense and Plexico Burris on offense. I mean, they had
Yeah,
some dudes on that team. I mean, this
yep.
wasn't a scrub
yeah,
team. So I mean,
yeah.
hmm
But they
yeah.
were great.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm
D,
gonna-
you've given us over an hour, bro, and
Hey, man, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
I got one.
Let's catch up mid season.
please
I got one
please
more question
plug.
for you.
Please, okay.
Okay.
Before
I got one more question for you. Because you brought this up, were you ever playing any other sport back in your childhood days when you were in high school? And would you encourage
Yeah.
kids to play different sports to help them out with their football?
Yeah, I think I grew up, I played football, basketball, and baseball. Um, I think back then it was encouraged to be a multi-sport athlete. And now you're starting to see where um, a lot of kids are starting to specialize in one sport. Which I think is pros and cons to anything. You see a lot of those kids get burnt out, but for me personally, uh, you know, even just dealing with it with my son, he was really really good at soccer. Really really good at soccer, and but he loves football.
mhm.
You know what I mean? And it's just, I told him like you can play whatever sport. I'll support you whatever sport, but these two sports are played in the same season,
Which stinks.
right? So usually you see the people playing in the same season as far as like football and soccer are the kickers,
Yep.
right? Maybe those. So like a lot, and he started to realize when he got done with soccer that he went on to basketball, and then he came into track, and then he went back to soccer. He was falling behind. And then, but I had to point it out, like a lot of his other peers in soccer didn't play any other sports. So, and then, we did with winter, it's basketball and wrestling. And what are you
Yeah.
going to do? He's like, we
Which is
play basketball.
Yeah.
And spring is, track, baseball. And so we do track. So, I kind of, allowed him to play everything. But, if you're a pretty good athlete, we had to really start mapping things out because this travel is unreal with one sport, let alone two, and it's expensive. So, but I do feel like now they're starting to encourage kids to play less sports, which I don't like.
Well, what
I
stinks too
agree.
is like if you look at like baseball has traveling leagues in the winter. I mean, basketball is AAU and it runs into other sport. I mean, before when I was in high school, when you were in high school, they had their season. That was it.
Yeah, yeah,
You got to
yeah,
Yeah,
play that next sport. Now it's like year round for these kids, and you
yeah.
almost got to specialize in a sport, or you're going to fall behind.
Yep, yep, yep. So I mean, now
yeah.
you get to add like 7-on-7. 7-on-7 is allowed in the state of Ohio now, so that will give football players, a lot of extra reps in the spring. Especially when you look at wide receivers, the skill position, wide receivers and quarterbacks. and
Hmm.
then that'll be able to help them like leading up into the spring and then the fall. So you're right, kids are starting to specialize. I still like seeing my son playing football. I love seeing playing competing in basketball. I love seeing competing in track. And I think at the end of the day, football and track kind of goes together, so it kind of helps him out on both stance. And he's just he's athletic. He's athletic in basketball, so until he says, "Hey, Dad, I'm done with that," or "I don't want to do that," I'm just going to continue to let him, being a multi-sport athlete. I think it pays dividends down the road.
I got
I would say this: if you're gonna do multi sports, like for instance, if you're an offensive lineman, you'd be better off playing basketball. Same with defensive lineman, you'd be better off kind of like playing basketball and doing sports. Like I think if you're gonna be a multi sport athlete, you have to contribute to the sports you're gonna play as to your skill set. And I would say probably to your position. Now some positions could be beneficial to multiple sports, but I think you would probably be better off doing that.
I
Tim.
think, yeah. I mean, footwork is
Yep.
definitely
Hmm.
as far as like a big guy playing basketball. That man Orlando Pace was a nice one on the court.
Uh,
So,
Sam
I
Greer,
I grew up. I
Sam
grew up a
Greer.
half hour away from him, and he's 3 years older than me. I used to see him in the mall, and he
yeah,
towered over everybody. Everybody knew he
yes,
was
sir.
coming, but I used to watch the highlights of him playing basketball, and man,
And he was a dude too.
he
That
was
he was a
so
monster.
so athletic. The dude could dunk, but he had such great footwork, and that was from playing, like you said, playing basketball. But Tim
Yeah,
Anderson, who was a, All American defensive tackle for us, he was state heavyweight
Wrestling.
wrestling champion. He said
yep,
wrestling helped
Oh, you
him
could do wrestling too as an
yep,
offensive lineman as well. Like you
yep.
could
and
like as
defense.
like
Yep.
with defensive and offensive lineman, I would say your best bet would be doing like wrestling and basketball. That would be probably your best bets to do
Yeah,
those because
yeah.
even in
Luke
basketball,
Fickle was
when
an
you're talking about like
all-state wrestler.
Yes, he was.
yeah, so even when you're like talking about doing basketball for like for defensive linemen, it actually is a great way for you to move your feet too. To be
Yeah.
honest, you might be able to get some
Hmm.
techniques out of that as well. So like, and you look at it like for instance, Ohio State offensive lineman commit Sam Greer. I mean, Sean, you and I seen him. He
Play
looks like
basketball.
a dude. I mean,
Padilla,
this guy.
hey,
This,
Padilla was a state qualifier wrestler, and he's a center.
Hmm.
So I mean,
oh yeah,
that helps either way.
Jay
Yeah.
Cook. Like you look at all these guys, it's like man, like it's like them being multi-sport athletes as far as like the sports that suit them the best to help them out with that. I think would be the best way to be a multi-sport athlete. To me, that's how you have to plan it: is which of these sports give you the best, not only the best schedule, but also the best way to help your skill set out. Like for instance, for wide receiver, you could probably say it might be baseball because baseball can help you track the ball. Same with defensive back for that matter. It's like it can help you track the ball when it's up in the air. You know what to do at that point. Like for instance, Emeka Buka, we talk about him all the time, Sean, and this guy was so underrated. And you hear about him. I've been sending you articles about him in the NFL and how he's been talked about constantly in a positive way. He
Yeah,
played baseball. Same with Chris Olave. Played baseball. Like it helped them like really be able to focus on how to find the ball in the air and be able to like help their techniques doing that.
but track helps them get off the line
Yeah,
with their
that's
explosive
another
speed
one.
stuff. Either
That's what
way,
track does.
either way, I think as long as they're doing one or the other, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I can even say
Hmm.
the same thing with quarterback. Like for quarterback, playing baseball would actually help you with your arm.
You know, Eye-hand coordination too. I mean,
Oh
Hmm.
yeah. So like
but
that would be the best way for a lot of these players who want to be multi-sport athletes is you just map out which ones give you the best set for your skill set.
Most
That's what I think
definitely.
you should do.
I got
Hmm.
a 10-year-old daughter, and I let her play volleyball, basketball, and soccer. And I just
Yep.
said, whatever you want to do, I'm not going to force you to play. The only thing I will tell you though is when you start something, you're not going to quit. So as long
Exactly.
as
For
you
me it
like
was
it
like
and you're enjoying it,
basketball.
and
For
you're
me it was basketball, football, soccer, and I think I played some other sports, but I can't remember which of the other ones I did do. But those were the main three I remember.
but D, we've had you here for an hour and
Oh, it's all
overtime.
good, man. Hey, you
Hey,
having a good conversation, you know what I mean?
love it, man.
Yeah,
Thank you,
so
man.
it's all good. I appreciate and hopefully we can catch up in the middle of the season.
Sure. And you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe we could get a couple of your teammates on here, and you guys could, tell a couple stories and
That
share a few laughs. But
would
hey,
be
Hey, hey,
entertaining.
whenever
hey,
you guys
plug
also
what
get
you're
the
doing.
chance, for you and your teammates, at some point, go to the roundtable discussion with Eric, Chris, and Corey and them. Like they would love to have you guys on and really talk about a lot.
We have a show on
They're
Sunday,
great.
the roundtable show, and I know Eric would love to have you on. So if you ever
Yeah.
doing it, I'll get you the information. But please plug what you're doing and how
Oh man.
people find you, man.
All right, yeah. So again, I'm a State Farm agent, Hilliard, Ohio. DMiller.com is the easiest way to get in contact with us. But we specialize in auto, home, and life, and would be happy to help you out.
Awesome, man. Guys,
Awesome.
please support our man. If you're gonna get man, get through D, man.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Man, get through him,
It
man.
reminds me. I swear, it reminds me so much. Even though it's kind of like it's more real estate, like it kind of reminds me so much of like Tim Wong with his real estate business.
Hey.
Obviously, this is insurance, but hey, real estate. I mean, it's good to be honest. And think about it, he's an active coach. I kind of like that's actually always a great selling point for Ohio State players. Is you come here, you got a chance to get internship jobs at places like State Farm and his and at real estate businesses and all that. I think that's
Yeah.
always a great selling point to me.
Yes, ma'am.
But D, thank you again,
All
man.
right,
Been
man.
an
Most definitely.
honor.
Y'all have a good evening.
You too.
You
Thanks,
too.
man.
All right.
Hey, before you leave, OH.
IO.
Ayo.
All right. Thanks, brother.
All right.
Good night.
Okay. Bye bye.
Later, everybody.
Bye bye.